Along with the videos on my notebooks, I kind of wanted to go over the cameras that I actually shoot with. This is a Leica, it's a Leica IIIa, I believe. I believe this is from 1936. I remember looking up the serial number, so if you want to look up the serial number, there it is. I remember it being a really early version. We actually got this for a wedding present from my wife's family. Her grandpa used to shoot photography and used to have Leicas, so her cousins ended up getting us this. So this was an awesome present. I've had to send it off to be cleaned and fixed. It had an issue taking up the spool. There was actually no spring. There's a spring to keep the tension on the spool over here. It was actually missing that spring, so there had no tension, so it wouldn't wind the film at all. Kind of want to go over the features of this camera, because I mean, these are super cool cameras, and most people don't usually get their hands on one, and usually if they have, usually if they're into film photography, a lot of people are shooting with the more modern cameras, you know, like the Canon AE1, which actually uses a battery to actually like fire the shutter. This is pure mechanical. There is no power to this at all, which is crazy to think about that they've figured out how to make this work. First off, this is a screw mount lens. Like you may be used to the ones that just kind of like snap in, but this one actually is a threaded screw. They eventually did go to one that, you know, uses a little pin, you know, to hold the lens in. But so screw mount lens, basically you just tighten it until it won't go anymore. And then this is telescoping lens, so basically it just pulls out and you tighten it like that. So you've got your f-stop. Your f-stop is on the lens itself. This one has an f-stop of 2, then it goes up to 16. To focus it, we've got this little lever here, so we can see the top, you know, the focusing distances. The cool thing about this camera is, you know, there's no window that shows you what frame you're on. It actually has this ring around the outside. So right now I'm on frame, there's 10th mark, 11, 12th. I'm on the 12th frame right now. So it does count up to 36 frames. So it actually counts a little bit more than that. So as you shoot, they've figured out how to make this wind perfectly, and it just lands on the arrow every time. And that's crazy to think about. As the film spool gets thicker, the winding will be a little bit different, so they figured out how to make that step properly. So we got your shutter button. It's just super simple shutter button. To set the speed, this little dial here, you know, it's like we've got the arrow here, we got the dial there. So right now it's not set. When I wind this, so this will wind, so we see the dial with the shot number spinning around. When I stop, it'll stop 13. So now this is set. So right now it's set at 5/100ths of a second. If I lift this up, I can spin it to whatever speed I need. So right now it's at 60th of a second. It also has kind of like a little extra bonus feature. So if I go to the Z here, it now uses this secondary dial to where it has slower speed. So we've got 20th, 8th, quarter of a second, half a second, 1 second. And then this is basically T for as I hold it open, it should stay open, I think, until I release the shutter. I primarily don't do this because you definitely need a tripod. So this is ready to shoot now. Also been using a light meter. I've got a light meter. So if I wanted to take a photo right now, it's telling me that 1/60th of a second at 1.8. I can't do 1.8 with this camera, so I'll have to bump it up to 2. So now it's telling me a 50th of a second, which this camera doesn't do 50th of a second. So I'll have to go to 2.2 at a 40th of a second, and that should be good. I'm just going to do a super simple shot, and so we've got set it to 40th of a second, and then this is where you basically kind of guess. So it doesn't have 2.2, but it is gradual. So we've got 2, we've got 8, so we guess, you know, maybe 2.5 is right here, so then 2.2 might be right about there. And then with these rangefinders, we've got 2 view windows here. The right one basically shows us what 50mm looks like. This left one here is the focus. So how this focus works is it's basically 2 images. You're basically seeing a broken image, and whatever you want focused, it somehow, again, smart people have figured it out. So when the 2 images align so that you see one complete solid image, that means it's in focus. So if the image is broken, it's out of focus. But as soon as you put it in line, so you got one solid image, that's when you're in focus. So I'm going to do that real quick here and just take a photo. My wife, she said her grandpa used to, the Phoebus finger. Phoebus was his last name, and whenever he would take portraits, he would always tell people to hold up a finger. And that was basically a vertical line, so he can see something very solid when it was in focus. So it's been kind of fun. Like, I didn't know how Leica actually took photos. I didn't know how they focused. I thought you basically kind of had to guess what the distance is. I didn't realize it was this broken image system, that they'd figured that out that long ago. The Canon and some kind of more modern lenses have something similar, but I didn't know they were still using it back then. So when I started taking photos, like I told my wife, I was like, I now know what the Phoebus finger's for. So whenever I take their family photos, I always ask them to hold up a finger, and they get a chuckle out of that, because That's what they're used to. That is the Leica IIIa. To change the film, I've actually got film in there right now. Got this bottom plate I'm not going to show you right now. That is going to be a later video. It's kind of cool. It's a lot different than, again, how modern cameras work. So there it is.